Meanwhile, Twitter India and the government continue to be at loggerheads. Days after the social media giant had lost its intermediary status, its legal protection cover in India because it failed to comply with the new IT law, Twitter officials may appear before the Parliamentary Standing Committee today. The Parliamentary Committee on Information Technology panel is headed by Congress MP Shashi Tharoor. He is in fact summoned top Twitter officials to give a briefing on the prevention of misuse of social media platforms and the issues related to protection of citizens' rights, particularly that of women's security. Now, according to the new IT guidelines, all social media giants, including Twitter, has to appoint a nodal officer to ensure that all new rules are followed. The nodal officer has to work with law enforcement agencies to remove or block any illegal or inflammatory content on their site. And we had also earlier spoken to the IT Minister, Ravi Shankar Prasad, on the action against Twitter. He came out to slam the tech giant, saying this was deliberate defiance.
We gave them the last goodwill gesture. Please do.
Comply.
Otherwise, it will have consequences. They said within a week we will do it. First, they appointed a lawyer as their officer, grievance. You can't do. He has to be an employee.
They employed a lawyer who was employed with some other law firm.
Yes.
What is the current status? Have they complied with the final compliance officer?
They haven't. I believe they have sent some name. It's still address, etc. is not there. My point is, yesterday, when they said within a week we will do it, they did not do so. And this is very important, Rahul. Rule 7 of the guideline, framed under Section 87 of the Act, having lawful enforceability, clearly says, if you do not follow these guidelines or the rules, then you will lose Section 79 status and other attendant penal law consequences.
That means you are not issuing any order.
No.
It is by default that since you don't comply, you lose that status.
The withdrawal or extinction of your status as an intermediary exemption, becomes effective because of operation of law itself. From the government we have said, all right, we will give you 1 week more goodwill gesture.
Let's move on to some other stories that we're tracking closely this Friday morning. More than a month after the Bengal Assembly results were declared, the battle for Nandigram is interestingly reignited. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, who'd lost the contest from Nandigram to her former aide and BJP leader Shubhendu Adhikari, has taken the battle now to the courts, to the Calcutta High Court. Mamata has challenged the outcome of the elections at Nandigram before the High Court. This matter will be heard by the court today at 11 a.m. Mamata lost the polls by a narrow margin of 1,956 votes. So Shubhendu polled 1,10,764 votes, while Mamata polled 1,08,808 votes. The BJP is meanwhile slammed Mamata for her decision to challenge the Nandigram results. In a tweet, BJP's IT cell chief and Bengal co-in-charge Amit Malviya has described Mamata as a sore loser for challenging the verdict. Now, ahead of BJP's crucial core committee meet, which is to be chaired by party in charge Arun Singh, several BJP MLAs have aired their grievances against Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa, demanding his removal. There's infighting, there's dissent, and it's refusing to die down within the party.
It's the BJP versus BJP in Karnataka. And the man at the center of this political storm is Chief Minister Yediyurappa. Knives are out. The rebels want B.S. Yediyurappa out. On Thursday, war of words broke out between Yediyurappa's foes and loyalists. This, even as BJP's Karnataka in charge Arun Singh is in the state to defuse the crisis. BJP MLC Vishwanath openly demanded Yediyurappa's ouster.
We respect Yediyurappa's contribution in building the BJP in Karnataka. But now, Yediyurappa has not got that spirit, that strength to run the government. It's better to replace with a Lingayat leader.
ಮಾನ್ಯ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ನಾಯಕತ್ವ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಅರುಣ್ ಸಿಂಗ್ ರವರನ್ನ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಭೇಟಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಭೇಟಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಯಾರು ಇದುವರೆಗೂ ಪಕ್ಷದ ವಿರುದ್ಧವಾಗಿ ದಿಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಸಂಘಟನೆ ವಿರುದ್ಧವಾಗಿ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ವಿರುದ್ಧವಾಗಿ ಲಾಬಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವರ ಯೋಗ್ಯತೆಗೆ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಶಾಸಕರಿಗೆ ಗಳಿಸ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅರ್ಹತೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗಿಲ್ಲ.
On Thursday, Arun Singh met 30 to 40 MLAs and heard their concerns. He also instructed them not to voice their opinion in public.
जो लोग लगातार ऐसा काम कर रहे हैं जिससे पार्टी की छवि खराब हो रही है, उनके स्टेटमेंट पे ध्यान दे रहे हैं, वॉच कर रहे हैं, उनका रिकॉर्ड भी हम इकट्ठा कर रहे हैं. मैं उनसे कहूंगा कि किसी भी प्रकार से उनके वक्तव्य के माध्यम से पार्टी को नुकसान न हो.
But all eyes are now on BJP's crucial core committee meet. The meetings will be held at 5 p.m. and will be attended by CM Yediyurappa and Arun Singh. It is likely that MLAs' complaints and grievances against Yediyurappa that have been shared with the party in charge will be discussed in the key meet. The core committee will also analyze the recent by-election results, especially the Belgaum Lok Sabha polls, where BJP merely scraped through to victory. Arun Singh post-Friday will head back to Delhi and apprise the BJP High Command on the present crisis in Karnataka. After receiving the brief, the High Command is likely to take a call on Yediyurappa's future as the Chief Minister of Karnataka. With Nagarjun Dwarkanath in Bengaluru, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, 3 student activists who were arrested last year and charged under the stringent UAPA finally walked out of jail. The student activists were released from Tihar jail after securing bail from the Delhi High Court.
The wait is finally over. A year after they were jailed under stringent anti-terror law UAPA, activists Devangana Kalita, Natasha Narwal and Asif Tanha were released from Delhi's Tihar jail after a hectic legal battle. For 2 days, the student activists have been running from one court to another to secure their release.
We are very happy the Delhi High Court has given a very strong order which not just talks about us but how the voices of dissent are being suppressed in this country today. And I think we all need to think about that.
कितना वक्त आप अंदर हैं, उसके बाद जब बेल मिलती है फिर भी 3 दिन लगा. इसके बारे में क्या है?
वही तो वो इंतजार हर मिनट भारी पड़ रहा था और मतलब एक हिसाब से मजाक जैसा लग रहा था कि हाई कोर्ट ने भी बेल दे दी फिर भी हमें बाहर नहीं निकाला जा रहा था. That we were not being let out.
On June 15th, the High Court granted bail to Natasha, Devangana and Asif nearly a year after they were charged under the UAPA Act. While doing so, it had observed that the state, in its anxiety to suppress dissent, blurred the line between the constitutional guarantee right to protest and terrorist activity. But even as the Delhi High Court ordered the release of the trio, the police blocked their release. First, they filed a special leave petition in the Supreme Court to stay the High Court order. Then, they told the Karkar Duma Court that they were trying to verify the addresses of the activists, their Aadhaar cards, and those who have given surety. The police claimed getting Aadhaar information from the UIADI will take several days. The accused had approached the lower court the same day seeking release from jail by showing compliance with bail conditions. The High Court too stepped in, asking the court to promptly decide the matter. The Karkar Duma Court finally upheld the release of the activists, instructing the police the remaining verifications can continue after the release. With Anisha Mathur in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, A study by AIMS and the WHO has said that children will not get hit disproportionately in the third wave of the pandemic. But it does say that we need to tread very, very cautiously. Sneha Mordani and Milind Sharma break down all the details you need to know.
This is really heartening news for parents of young kids. An AIMS study has diminished fears that a third wave of COVID would be particularly bad for children. The AIMS WHO findings show there is very little chance that the next surge would disproportionately affect young ones. That's because it found that the seropositivity rate among children was high, almost comparable to adults. This is important because seropositivity is a reflection of antibodies generated against a virus. In other words, it shows natural immunity levels present in a person.
सीरो सर्वे बताता है कि बच्चे हमेशा जो है उनसे ज़्यादा संक्रमण रहा है, कम नहीं रहा है. आप ये जो 2% या 8% जो डेटा बता रहा है वह है कि जिनमें सिम्टम्स थे, वो सिम्टोमेटिक्स जिनका टेस्ट किया गया. ये कह के कि बच्चों में इन्फेक्शन नहीं हुआ इसलिए आएगा, इसका कोई साइंटिफिक बेसिस नहीं है. हाँ, ये हो सकता है कि कोई नया वेरिएंट आ जाए तो वह सबके लिए होगा.
The study was done between March and June. More than 4,500 people were part of research, 700 of them younger than 17 and 3,800 over the age of 18. It was done in different geographical locations in India. Seroprevalence was 55.7% in less than 18 years age group and 63.5% in the above 18 years age group. The study even found a slightly higher seropositivity rate among girls.
The study comes at a time when there is growing concern about children getting disproportionately affected in the third wave of the pandemic. But there is a catch here. The study clearly says that the Delta variant is predominant in India right now. And if things change, then the situation can also change vis-a-vis our children. However, for the moment, this is reassuring given the fact that not a single child in India has been vaccinated against COVID-19. With inputs from Milind Sharma, Sneha Mordani in Delhi for India Today.
It's the winner-takes-it-all clash with India and New Zealand coming face-to-face in the final of the inaugural World Test Championship. Test cricket will get its first champion. Team India has had a stellar run in which they've lost just one series, and victories like the one in Australia give ample confidence that this team can crown itself as the World Test champion.
The 144-year-old history of Test cricket is about to change. The most sacred form of the game is looking for its rightful king. Virat Kohli and his men will be up against Kane Williamson's New Zealand in the title showdown of the inaugural World Test Championship. Despite the changes in the format, India have earned their place in the final fair and square. Team India won 5 of their 6 series, including 2 overseas, in the World Test Championship cycle, and interestingly, their only series loss came against New Zealand, where they lost 0-2. India's bowling attack looks as potent as any other, and the presence of 2 world-class spinners in Ashwin and Jadeja only adds more teeth to their resources.
This is a strong case because both Jadeja and Ashwin can bat. They can build serious partnerships down the order. So, and when people talk about spinners not getting enough assistance in England, I feel they get a different kind of assistance which you possibly don't get as much in India. Now, people only talk about the surface, but nobody talks about what happens in the air.
For Virat Kohli as captain, a victory in Southampton could finally end his long wait for an ICC title, having led India in 2 ICC competitions. Batting could eventually decide the result of the final. Virat, Rahane and Pujara have the experience of these English conditions, but the openers may have to set the tone for them.
I feel that there's a lot more experience and class in this Indian batting lineup. Whereas with New Zealand, yes, they've got exciting young opener in the form of Conway, who has done well against England in the ongoing Test series. There's experienced Ross Taylor, Latham, and then Kane Williamson. But if you see the amount of experience, the talent, the exuberance the Indian batting lineup possesses, so I believe that whichever batting lineup scores big, above par total in the first innings, will hold the edge.
Rohit Sharma will be opening in England for the first time, while Shubman Gill just has 7 tests under his belt. India's 11 will feature 3 pacers, with experienced Ishant Sharma preferred over Mohammad Siraj, while Bumrah and Shami will complete the pace attack, with Ashwin and Jadeja as the 2 spinners. India have not had any practice game ahead of the final, while New Zealand have got themselves conditioned well with a 2-test series against England. The Black Caps will pose a serious challenge, but this Indian team knows how to change perception and convert opportunities into success. Sports Bureau, India Today.